like the dread from uptown. You know my sound is major. I know you like the lyrics, kid, so just do me a favor. Tell the tech to turn my dad up. This is a pack cut. Hey, yo, don't back up, because I wanna dive in and swim in the mentals where your thoughts roam. I wanna make your dome my home, therefore you'll never be alone. But when you hear my song, sing along with the rhythm, cause I got faith in fat beats that I give them. Yes, it's the ears and I'm checking out the blonde one. Maybe I can have one, maybe I can con one. Chill, I'm one with God, brothers. It's hard to stay straight until you're scared straight, and then you can't wait to get.
Oh man, how do we start this one? Let's see. There's monkeys just bouncing off the walls, and you know, I think that I have a feeling that the 100th monkey's been reached on a lot of levels, Ramon. But I also think that there's some other monkeys that need to hit that point. We need to hit that critical mass in some other areas to really, I don't know, we need to settle this place down some. We've got, I don't know, it's almost that chaos factor is kicking into gear in some certain segments of our society. Yeah. And, you know, there's that proverbial double-edged sword, though. You know, there's that shadow boxing going on out there, and then on the other side of things, we've got just thousands and thousands of people that are seeing this stuff, and they're waking up, and they're asking questions.
You know, I got a Facebook last night from my old boss, who was like, Ramon, you know, things have been changing with me so much. I've been waking up and looking what's going on around me, and I was shocked because, you know, he did a lot of flower arrangements and stuff like that, and I used to work with him when I lived in New York, and he just cared about, you know, okay, got this job, where's the next job? And for him to send me that, I was amazed. So yeah, you know, it's just amazing. But, you know, we also got some monkeys that are creating their own realities.
Yeah, you are listening to the 100th Monkey Radio with Tom and Ramon, and we are recording this on April 29th, 2013. And
that's one of your numbers, isn't it?
Yeah, well, yeah, that 29, the 2s and 9s, they are pretty dominant in my life. So, it's a good day for this.
Yes.
So, you guys can find us on all the normal places, you know, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Vimeo, and let's see, Twitter. I said Twitter, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
What else?
Well, you can find us in the ethereal realm, or send us a telepathic message. I don't know if I will always answer, but I'll try. Also,
we also do simulcast this telepathically, so.
Yeah, you know, I've had dreams, Tom, of doing interviews telepathically, but you always say you don't remember, so. There's an art piece that was drawn by Lizette Alcalde. I think it's quite amazing, so take a look at it. It's on the main page. If you scroll down, you'll see it right away. And we have this series where now you're able to get the series disclosure documentary from us, and I suggest you guys check it out. And also, when you get it from us, you help support us and you help support them, which they're going to take that money in return and make, you know, the free energy lab that is so needed. There's a few of them up, not from them, but other people. But, you know, the more of this we have, the more of these guys we put, you know, working and help them out, the faster it will come. So let's create that.
Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. And it's coming. I mean, I just know that this stuff is coming, and, you know, despite all the chaos that's going on out there, both out there and in there, I mean, I know a lot of people are going through a lot of interchanges. A lot of things happening in this world that are being catalysts for our own personal growth, our personal transformation into, you know, the better me. And it's It's not always easy out there, but you've got support. There's people out there. If you need a hand, you need a shoulder to cry on, or an ear to talk into. There's resources out there. Not just I'm not just saying the 100th Monkey Radio, but there's tons and tons of resources out there for you guys to find that help you need. Find those places, those resources that'll answer your questions, or at least have the ability to help point you towards a door so you can find them yourself, which is the best way to find them in the first place. So
that's why I think this guest is so important coming onto the show.
Absolutely. That's why I was leading right into that, Ramon.
Yeah, I kind of was trying to read you telepathically.
Yeah. You do a pretty good job of that sometimes.
Can I tell my before you introduce him? I want to tell my little gambling story. I went to here in Japan. We don't have casinos, but we have slot machines and what they call pachinko, which is like these little balls. Look up look it up on YouTube because it's a little hard for me to explain, But anyway, so I went in there and I was kind of upset with a friend, but I went in there to kind of blow off steam, and I really didn't care about winning or losing. All I cared about was, blowing off the steam. So really just to have fun. And I walked out of there with $400. What would be $400, which is 40,000 yen. And I was amazed, and it was perfect timing because my wife's birthday was the next week. So I was like, oh, this is just perfect. So we can go into that deeper. But Tom, who do we have?
So we've got Dr. Joe Gallenberger with us tonight. He wrote a book called Inner Vegas, and he's one of those fantastic researchers out of the Monroe Institute. He's been a clinical psychologist. He's got over 30 years of experience as a therapist and meditator, and a senior trainer at the Monroe Institute, which teaches expanded human consciousness. He's developed programs for TMI, including MC Squared, that teaches psychokinesis, healing, and manifesting. He teaches expanded human consciousness to an international clientele through the Monroe Institute. Now, he's just got a ton of stuff to his credit through the Monroe Institute and through his own work. And I wanted to touch on one thing before we actually bring him in here. This is out of his book, Inner Vegas, and I just wanted to read a couple of these. I can't go through this whole list. What he's done, this is a little bit of a taste of what is possible from learning and doing some of the work that he is actually, sharing with people. And this is out of a course called SyncCreation. And what he did is he surveyed 80 people out of the group that had purchased this course and had done. It's a home study course, and 75% of them responded. And there's my chihuahuas responding. So I'm just going to read a few of these of responses that he got. In health and wellness, he got 10 people who healed their pets. My pets are needing healing right now, or may if they don't quit barking. 8 people each healed children. 5 people gained self-acceptance. 3 people healed their ADD and no longer required medication. 3 people manifested increased memory for studies. 2 people healed organs preventing surgery. 2 people received healing of chronic headaches and migraines. 2 people significantly healed their fibromyalgia. 2 people healed their acne. 1 person healed a grandparent. 1 person gained from sleepwalking. Let's go into abundance. 6 people manifested abundant travel. 5 were given small fortune. 4 received multiple checks, thousands of dollars that arrived unexpectedly. And these lists go on. In the professional sphere, 15 people gained important connections for work. 10 negotiated contracts successfully. 3 people received rewards at work. In relationships, 10 people gained friendship. 8 people received important connections for love. 2 people created engagements. 2 people manifested successful adoptions. And when it comes to luck, 15 people manifested winning at a casino craps table. 8 people manifested winning at a casino slot machine. 2 people won raffles. 1 person manifested winning a friend's poker night. I mean, these lists, just out of the 60 people that actually responded, he's got a tremendous list of benefits that people reaped from learning this material. And now I'd like to bring you in, Dr. Gallenberger. Do you mind if we call you Joe?
Oh, Joe would be great. Good evening, Tom and Roman. Raymond, how are you?
Very good.
Ramon, I'll get it right.
Raymond, Ray, Ramon, it's fine.
Ramon will be it for me.
There we go. So, this is Inner Vegas, and I love the title because it actually is pulling on to, I don't know, I hate to say it's kind of enticing the greed aspect of people, but it's kind of a hook, and it's pulling people in, and the material that's in this thing goes way beyond just manifesting money or manifesting possession. I mean, this book work touches on some of the fundamental aspects of life, in my opinion.
Well, thank you. Yeah, the subtitle is Creating Miracles, Abundance, and Health. But I like the inner Vegas much like inner golf or inner tennis, that you can approach things from a spiritual point of view and get a lot more out of it than the usual just game you might do.
So what made you? What was it that prompted you to get into this? How did you evolve into doing this work?
Well, working as a psychologist, I began to use the Monroe Institute HemiSync technique.
Okay, so Joe, how did you how did things evolve into you actually doing this Inner Vegas book?
Well, I worked as a therapist for many years and was looking for effective tools to help my clients. And I found the Monroe Institute HemiSync was really good to reduce anxiety, depression quickly. And in my own life, I had quite a bit of out-of-body experience as a kid, so I had read Robert Monroe's book. So when I went up there and took their first program, I was really impressed at how well the technology moved you into deeper altered states of consciousness quickly, and particularly that there was no dogma that you had to believe. So it was a safe and effective and non-dogmatic tool. And using it for a while, I got into very deep altered states, kind of connection with the other side, if you will, and wondered how it could be brought in to help the physical world here. And one of the first things I worked with was healing, energy healing. It seemed like I could take away somebody's headache if I, with their permission, touched them on the shoulder. And that intrigued me very much. But as a scientist, I didn't know if I did it, they did it, or it was going to go away by itself. It's pretty messy. And I was helping Bob with a program called Lifespan 2000, and we had a gaming night in order to practice some of the skills we've been learning about controlling emotion, memorizing things, that type of deal. And in there I found the same energy came over me, real hot hands, wide open heart, very grounded yet expanded. And with that, I found I could roll what I wanted on the dice, 777, that kind of thing. And so that intrigued me because it was something I could study. As a scientist, we know the statistics of how unlikely that would be to happen by chance. So then I went over to a university laboratory, and we did a bunch of these experiments of affecting matter with your mind and got results in the thousands to one by chance. And so psychokinesis became a truth or a known to me. And after that, I wanted to really become good at this, get a black belt in TK, if you will. And I looked around, and the best place to practice was Las Vegas, because the dice are guaranteed to be neutral, and slot machines are amenable to energy. And so I went out there for about 5 years doing this on my own, and found been a very positive thing. Healing in my life increased. Manifestations came much more easily. So I began to teach it, and I've now taught 64 groups out there called Inner Vegas Adventure, where we go out and form a good group energy and apply the energy to slot machines and dice and see the effect. And so that got me going. And from there, I developed a program called MC Squared at Monroe Institute, which stands for Manifestation and Creation Squared. We have really good healings there, manifesting, and also the psychokinesis extends there to bending metal, growing seeds in your hand, lighting light bulbs with your own energy. And that program was real successful, so I did a home study version that you referred to before called SyncCreation. And after doing all of this for a while, I wanted to get it out to a larger audience. So I started writing the book. But it gave me a lot of trouble. I didn't want to do just another self-help book, and I tried it as a novel, and that didn't work. And one night I was giving a lecture when some other person didn't show up, and I was substituting, and I just told my story from my heart of how this developed, and I got a big standing ovation. And I realized all I needed to do to write the book was to just tell my story from the heart. So that's what I did.
There you go. Well, it came off very well. Very well.
Thank you. Thank you.
So in all of this, you know, I know that you've found some commonalities for all these different skills, or you know, I think it's more accurately termed as skills versus you know, energy manipulation or whatever, however anybody else would like to term it. You know, these are all learned skills, and I think that do we all have these abilities to learn these skills, or is there a certain type that is more easily you know, adaptable to this sort of thing?
Well, I think we all do have that potential. It might be like playing the piano. Some of us can play a little better than others, but most of us would benefit from practice. These seem to be really natural abilities that have been kind of trained out of us in modern Western society. For example, when the Chinese look for psychics, which they do very actively, what they find is the kids in the rural villages are much more likely to demonstrate this ability than the kids in the cities, kind of showing us that the fast-paced information society we have tends to suppress these natural abilities.
That's kind of scary just in itself.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
What is it? Ramon, you have something?
Yeah, I was going to say that yeah, that makes a lot of sense, because not only with the information and you know, everything's happening at a fast pace, but also the old belief systems of you know, the mystic, the esoteric belief systems are still being taught. And you know, there's usually in the rural areas of any country, there's some kind of a shaman or witch doctor, or medicine man. And
there may be more spiritual connection in the rural area, I'd agree.
yeah.
And these things do relate to spiritual teaching, as well as you can clean up a lot of the dogma, if you will, and get it down to some basics, which to me is mainly the great power and magic of the human heart, and learning how to tap into that energy, raise it very high, focus it, and let it go to your intent.
So what does it take to tap into the human heart? I mean, I know that it's all, well, mainly mindset, right?
Yes, Monroe tapes become very elegant. I keep calling them tapes because that's what they were when I started. That their technology tends to bring the left and right brain into more balance and gets rid of the left brain domination, which tends to be judgment, ego, fear, etc. And once left and right brain are a little more active together, it's easier to access the heart. There's places like HeartMath that have exercises as simple as just putting your hand on your chest and bringing your awareness to your heart. But for most people, thinking of the beauty of nature, people they love, things they're grateful for. There's many different paths to begin that heart opening, but it can be helpful to first shut down the left brain a little bit.
It does like to have the driver's seat in our society, for sure.
Yes, the way we're engineered right now, it's been very rewarded for being in control, but at a great cost, I think, to us individually and as a culture.
Now, you said the way we're engineered. Do you believe that, well, I hate to get into this cesspool, I suppose, but do you think that it is a conscious engineering that society's under?
I am not much of a conspiracy theorist, but I feel like what I see for most individuals is they may have had some of this power as a kid, and then they were discouraged from expressing it either by parents, or even if they were encouraged by parents when they reach adolescence, they all often don't want to appear different than their peers, and so they'll shut things down, and so these natural abilities kind of get suppressed.
Yeah.
And then, our culture does reward a lot of the left brain activity. If you look at the typical IT salary versus artist salary.
Right.
Yeah. That is very true. What was, for you, what was the first thing that really shocked you and said, oh, this really does work?
Well, what the dice rolling I mentioned at Monroe was pretty dramatic to me because I had such a powerful internal state going that I hadn't experienced before. But when I went to the science lab, they had a experiment where the height of a fountain bubbles by random hydrodynamic law, keeps changing column height. The experiment was to keep the column very high for 15 minutes with your energy, then low for 15, leave it alone for 15 as control. And as I applied energy techniques to that and saw the fountain respond and got statistics that were in the thousands upon thousands to one, that really impressed me as, this isn't just, I'd always wanted it to be true, but this wasn't just make-believe, it was true.
Mm.
And since then I've seen, things at 1 billion to 1 that I just scratched my head. You mentioned before we started, Ramon, about miracles in society. That's the life I live in, the miracle of the human hand. There's miracles all around us. And doing these miracles of PK is in that setting, or manifestation is in that setting, and even healing, miracles are all around us. And so I just get rather surprised, more delighted every time I see another manifestation of that.
Yeah. With me, I think, because I've experienced certain things, and I'll tell you a quick story that for me, it just, and the person that was with me really shook them up. When I lived in New York, I was working for this guy, and we did Christmas lighting out in Long Island for these really big mansions. And so we're out there around 2 o'clock in the morning, and we're putting these Christmas lights all over. And it's raining, we're wet, we're full of mud, we're exhausted. We're at this point arguing with each other because we're so tired. And one of the planters where we're putting the Christmas tree had a big hole in it. And so, of course, we're even more upset about that. So I'm trying to concentrate to kind of move away the rain to make it to stop raining, because we're dealing with electricity and it's raining. Never a good combination. So I'm concentrating to get rid of the rain, I go back and I said, oh, I thought you said you only had 4 planters. Where did you find this extra one? He says, I didn't touch it. And I said, well, look at it. It's fixed. And we're both looking at this planter, and the hole that had busted, it wasn't there anymore. So he was like, oh, you're messing with me. And I said, I'm not messing with you. I said, I didn't touch that, you didn't touch that, who fixed it? And I knew that had to do something with me, because that can't be a coincidence that, you know, I'm trying to stop the rain and the planter gets fixed. And he's a Jehovah's Witness. So I said, maybe your boy fixed it. And he couldn't believe it. To this day, he still tries to find an answer. I said, maybe it's a miracle from, you know, you always talking about miracles. Well, there we go.
Yeah. I've had a lot of things that brought a big grin to my face. One was in this metal bending the first time I did it. I always thought it might be fake or sleight of hand magician trick. And when you're holding the metal, somebody came behind me who's very good at it and just touched the back of my heart space on the back of my back there. And the metal just became like rubber. And that got me a grin. And later on, as I was teaching this, now that I knew I could do it, I had never bent the bowl of a spoon. It's very difficult to do. And my co-leader did one, and she was sitting on the outer rim of this circle of 20 people, and I was in the middle. And I said, show the group your spoon. She was so proud of it. She had wrapped it in her blouse right by her belly and was holding it. And she goes, it's gone. And half the group heard a voice, look in your pocket, Joe, and I looked and it was in my pocket. So we teleported the spoon.
Wow.
That was kind of fun.
Wow.
Wow.
So, how do you bend a spoon? You know, what kind of focus do you have on it? I'm curious.
Well, what I find is all of these psychokinesis tasks, the fountain I mentioned, affecting computers, growing speed, as well as healing and manifesting, all are variants of the same energy and process, but each one takes a slightly different approach. And in spoon bending, what I've found very useful is two different ways. One you could call a yang way or a masculine way, where you yell, bend, and, you know, group of 300 people would be ideal with kids in the group because theirs goes fastest. But with a meditation group, we get 100% of a group bending it even with only 20 people. And so that's one way, and you're forming a very strong intent after you've raised energy meditatively, and then projecting the intent and letting go and trusting. The second way with spoons is a more yin way, where you can sit down and pet the spoon and talk to the molecules, talk about how much you love your lover and how you would like the spoon to bend for you in order to show your friend or lover something new. And in that very soft approach, the metal will bend. So there's different ways, but they all tend to involve grounding well to the earth energy, bringing in highest the spirit energy, focusing it through the heart, and with your intention for it to bend.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Tom.
Okay. You go, Ramon.
I was going to say, because I heard once to start practicing telekinesis that you would take, for example, a piece of toothpick and make a little X and put it in a bowl of water and then just try to make it spin left and try to make it spin right. Have you ever tried that yourself?
Yeah, when we would do that, we would put that then under a big glass dome or something so there's no possibility of air movement. And that can work. I think for many people, the metal bending or letting less involved with your hand or growing seeds in your hand in 5 minutes so that they start sprouting roots. Each person will respond to a different thing. Like some people don't like dice throwing. It's associated with gambling. But they may feel they have a green thumb and do really well with the seeds. Someone else loves bending silverware. Other people feel like you're wrecking silverware. So you need to find something compatible with your personality so your energy can flow in all these different psychokinesis tasks. I think one of the most fun ones is computers because they contain in slot machines a random number generator.
Right.
And you can make that go off. So we had an experiment at the lab I did where a computer picks ones or zeros. The zeros represent pixels from a kitty cat picture. The ones are pictures from the pyramid. And on the screen it's all mixed and it looks like mush. And then you go, here, kitty, kitty, and get the cat picture to come out by affecting random number generators in the computer. And slot machines have that. So you can go to a slot machine and with the feeling like I would like a royal flush in hearts, you know it's 160,000 to 1 by chance, and you can hit it on the second or third pull. And it's very confirming. That's the main thing about all of these, is it really gives you confidence and you get feedback in 5 minutes. Where a lot of times if we're trying to manifest a soulmate or a new job or whatever, it can take a long time, and we don't even know if we're making progress.
Yeah, I love the whole idea of it, about the Vegas thing. I've actually gone to the casino with that, using that same frame of mind. Well, I'm going to use my consciousness to assist me in doing it. And, I'm probably, I think every time I've done this, I've at least broke even. But I haven't, I don't know, there's the left brain, always kicks in, and I have problems keeping in that mode.
Yeah. So
Agreed.
here, you mentioned belief systems come in. That's what to me is wrong with a movie like The Secret, which says just visualize it and make it so. We usually will have beliefs of what's good and bad, what is enough, what is too much, what is too weird, and you need to work on those so that you can sit down and say, I'm worthy of, and it is possible to win $10,000 or whatever the figure would be. And that takes a little work. That's where the meditations and belief system clearing come in handy.
So I don't want to segue too far off track, but I know earlier you mentioned that you'd had some early out-of-body experiences when you were a kid. Have you been, since you went to the Monroe Institute, have you been able to initiate those conscious, intentional experiences?
Yes. Well, again, the feeling is that most of us go out of body most nights, but we don't remember it, and we translate it into a flying dream. It's a natural state. But just because it's natural doesn't mean it's easy to induce.
Right.
Like, it's natural to go to sleep at night, but if I said to you, here's a gun to your head, go to sleep in the next 10 minutes, you'd have trouble.
Right.
So that natural skill tends to fade for people, and it did for me. But then in college, I went ahead and approached it again and was able to begin to achieve that quite often by will. And when I went to Monroe, then later on, about 26 years ago, that turbocharged that, if you will, and made the out-of-body experience more easy to obtain and control.
Very nice, very nice. Yeah, I've been successful at doing the projections on a handful of occasions, anyways. But and the third dimensional world kind of gets in my way at times as far as being able to actually find that place once again within self. But
yes, it can be elusive to lock it in.
Oh yeah,
but it's a lot of fun when you do.
Oh yeah, no doubt. It's definitely a different world.
When people grow the seeds in their hand, do they kind of feel that they become one with the seed, or it's just a heart thing?
Yes. So what we will do is, I would be, for example, leading a meditation in a group or in the home study. This is, done in writing, is to really connect deeply with Mother Earth, thank her for sustaining your life, really connect with that energy, and then bring it up into your heart and out through your hand where you're holding the seeds. And then, with her permission, bringing in the kinds of things that seeds need, such as the energies of earth, the energy of warmth, the energy of air, the energy of water, those kinds of things. And not to get too serious. So even at one point you might sing to your seeds, happy birthday to you, just to lighten the mood. And again, sometimes we use winter wheat berry a lot. It's been soaked overnight to soften them a bit. And people sometimes will get root growth of about 1.5 inches within 5 minutes. And sometimes a little bit of leaf growth. And they usually feel it's a very sacred meditation, like almost shamanic, that they're in touch with all these beautiful primal forces and becoming an agent for those forces to be expressed.
Because it makes me wonder, because I've heard stories of people who are contactees or even in science fiction, where certain races are able to, okay, I want a house, so they'll just grow their house out of these trees into the shape they want.
Oh,
and
okay.
So the house will still be alive, pretty much. You would say it's a tree, and they just grow it into the shape they want, create the windows and everything out of, just the plant life around. So it sounds like it's not too far off, with
I wouldn't put anything past anybody, given the things I've seen. Most of the miracles that we see are things that people are just, waking up on the second day of one of my inner Vegas workshops, having had polio for 20 years, saying I'm pain-free for the first time in 20 years, and being cheerfully grateful about that, or people with blocks moving past them in career or as an artist. And so these PK tasks are really, you can get a free drink in a bar, I suppose, but it's mostly to teach you just how much more powerful you are than you might think, and how to get into the power in a positive way, which to me the heart energy does. So it's a positive psychological spiritual path. And then beginning to see things happen around you quite quickly. I wanted to take my new wife to Paris. She had never been, and I love Musée d'Orsay room with Van Gogh paintings over there. And I just had that thought, and later that day I got an email, would you like to trade in France? And I thought, gee, it'd be neat to go over first class round trip for free. By the end of the day, I had the free first class ticket. And what I always do is put out anything I intend has delightfully unexpected, even more positive results that I can imagine. And so I went over there and got workshop offers for another 10 countries, and one of them was working in Germany. And when we yelled Ben for the medal to Ben, the group went into a group memory of the Holocaust, and we spent a couple hours deeply healing that issue for that group of people. And so much more happens than just, gee, I'd like to go to Paris. If you open up to be able to say, what I put out has delightfully unexpected results, beneficial to me and everyone else.
Nice.
Yeah, that's just beautiful.
Yeah, my thing is, I simplified that basic thought process. I call it the best and highest good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's pretty much my whole mindset. I try to carry that mindset consciously as every moment of my waking life, anyways.
Well, that's a good thing. And the more you raise your energy, the less you get attached to the fear forms of the culture and things that might take you out of that,
right,
and back into survival mode. So that's why I emphasize energy so much, because it can make you really be able to soar above all the crap that's happening now.
So how have you seen this field grow in the last, say, 10 years?
Well, I'm taking, I guess the best way to track it would be the NC Squared program at Monroe. When we first started doing that, people, maybe half of the group could bend a spoon, and maybe just a very simple bend on a pretty flimsy spoon. And now there's these complex shapes on very, very heavy stainless stuff that when a metallurgist looks at it, they say it's impossible. The light bulb lighting started weekly. Now most people can do it, and some can even do it at a distance now. Growing seeds, everything we've seen in the last 10 years, I think the veils are thinning. Our ability to be in touch with our power is more greater, and so we have that going. And on a science basis, many universities such as Princeton's labs, PEAR, Anomalous Research and Engineering Lab, feel that PK is proven, and they're moving on more into utilization. And so there's a group of scientists who I don't think we'd ever convince, but from my point of view, the data is clear if you're open-minded at all, because there's been thousands of studies now that are well controlled.
Yeah. We are starting to see more of that rigid, dogmatic scientific community actually, kind of loosen their barriers a little bit, and there's a lot more of them now that are dropping out of that rigid mindset, and they're starting to take consciousness into account when they're doing their experiments.
Yes, and in fact, I think we've been sold a bill of goods on how rigid that science is. There's a group of skeptics that kind of say they're skeptics, but they're really debunkers that have the ear of government and politics, and they, proclaim all this stuff to debunk without ever looking at the data. But one study I've seen recently, a survey, showed that 97% of scientists now believe that psychokinesis and other abilities are possible. And that's a large percentage.
Wow, yeah.
Wow, it's a huge percentage.
We're definitely living in some exciting times. We're with the communication that we have on the planet and all the different things that are starting to manifest in our lives. This type of stuff, the realization that we are so much more powerful than we ever dreamt of, and it being validated. And
it's a really exciting time to be alive, and quantum physics is helping us because this stuff looks nonsensical in Newtonian physics kind of models, but in quantum physics it looks unavoidable in some physicists' minds.
The one thing I heard you talk about this before, so I want to bring it up again. There's a few challenges that happen in people's life that are extremely hard, and one is losing loved ones, whether it's a pet or your mom or your brother or a son. How would you deal with that?
Well, I'm going to give you an example from my life. My brother, who was a very beloved friend, committed suicide, and the grief was near overwhelming. This is almost 20 years ago. And I realized I was holding a belief system of the human heart as a broken heart. And I shifted that to my heart is like a vast ocean of love. And if you come in, it's like a hand being put in water. And if you leave, the water might lose a drop, but it goes back to complete. And since then, I've been through the death of my mother and my father and some dear pets and friends, and the grieving is nowhere near as savaging to the spirit as it was under the broken heart image. Bad things still do happen, but with right attitude and right energy, you respond differently. About a year or two ago, I saw my cat savaged by 3 dogs in the neighborhood right in front of me, and she died in my arms. And I went over we're in the country, to where these dogs lived, and I'd never met the man who owned them. The first thing I did was give this guy a hug and said, we need to talk about something soulful. And that's so different than my reaction, 30 years ago would have been anger and revenge and guilt and recrimination. Those are optional. And you can approach the things that are rough in life in a much more enlightened way. You just save yourself a lot of grief.
Yeah. How did he react when you went to hug him?
He followed me very well. As I approached him, I didn't know if he didn't know me from Adam, so I imagine he was wondering about me stepping toward him. But by the time I had my arms around him, he softened, and we had a very soulful talk about how to handle this. Because the country rule was the dogs would have to die, and I didn't want that.
Yeah.
And we came up with a solution that made everybody happy.
Is it possible to go into that, or you prefer to keep it off air?
That was just, he lived about a half mile away, and he was going to build a pen and keep his dogs up and do various things to assure they wouldn't hurt the other cats in the neighborhood, including my other cat.
The reason why I brought that up, because I just find that people are always having problems with their neighbors and stuff like that, and your approach is a lot more useful than the conventional approach.
Yeah, if you want to live next to somebody, almost like a spouse, nobody can win an argument, you both lose.
Right.
Yeah, that's very true.
So do you go into these situations with a certain expectation, or do you approach it with just openness?
I go in with a feeling of willingness for these really good things to happen versus willfulness that they have to happen. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does, actually.
So
yeah.
There is an intentionality. It's not a detachment like a Buddhist detachment, but it's more that I use desire as a rocket of growth, if you will. So as I want something accomplished, whether it's to publish my book or whatever it is, I have this very positive expectation that it's going to be good in ways I can't even imagine. I'm going to meet lots of people that will be friends. It'll be good for more people than I can imagine. And then I'm willing this is something better, and I back up off of the willfulness as best I can within my personality, which is sometimes impatient, and I let things flow. And when I do that, then there's a much greater ease, and things just happen beautifully.
Have you noticed that your own mind, well, I'll just say my own experience is that I have, set the wheels in motion, so to say, to manifest, or however we want to term it, for something good to happen. Yeah. And I've found that, through my own impatience, it feels like I short-circuit it by short-circuit that magic from happening. These would be things that weren't, instant gratification type things like the gambling would be, where you have instant results. More long-term type events that I'm trying to bring into my life. But I find that my own impatience gets the gears going inside my mind, and I start going, okay, is it really happening? My own doubt kicks in there, and I feel like I just at times I felt like I just completely short-circuited it by not maintaining that open and positive attitude.
Yes, I think human nature to, and especially with things that have fear, like if somebody said to me, I'm taking this off your arm and we're going to biopsy it, we'll know the results in a week, there's going to be fear that the results are going to be negative. And so to stay in a open-hearted, high-energy, trusting place over a sustained period of time can be difficult. I think that's one great thing about using the hemi-sync exercises or whatever to meditate at least a couple times a week, where on your way into your deep altered state, you think about somewhere you're already grateful and abundant, like the abundance of pets in your lives, or books you've read, or the beauty of nature. So you arrive at the place where you're going to visualize getting this thing, already feeling blessed, already feeling abundant, rather than any feeling of lack or fear. And then what you want is kind of the cherry on top of the sundae, but you already got the sundae. And keeping that attitude, it can be easier to sustain if once in a while you meditate and getting that energy again. We all have different situations. Some of us working very high stress. Others are blessed, to be like I am out in the country. I can turn off broadcast TV, surround myself with good friends and the beauty of nature, and all that keeps my energy up.
Right. So what exactly does the HemiSync do to you or for you?
Well, there's a system in our brain which responds to localized sound, and it's a survival system. So if it was jet black here and a tiger growled, we could turn our head, and when the sound was equal phase to both ears, we'd know exactly where that tiger was. So it's a very important system. And if you fool that system a little bit by putting 100 cycle tone, for example, in one ear and 104 in the other, the brain can't equalize it on headphones. The brain will start going into the difference between those two tones. So in my example, 4 cycle, and 4 cycle is related to sleep. So if you had intention to sleep and you put on a 4 cycle HemiSync tape, you would probably get to sleep very quickly and easily. So it doesn't make you do anything, but it's almost like if I were trying to learn how to do the waltz, the dance, and somebody described it verbally, I'd have a hard time getting the concept. But if a band started playing the waltz, we can just ignore it, or we can tap our feet. But if we got up to dance, that rhythm, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, we'd go, this is what you mean, and we would get into the rhythm. The HemiSync gives the rhythm to the brain, kind of like that 1, 2, 3, this is what you want. And so it'll move you there if your intention is to go there. But you could be at the deepest level of it, and if the phone rang or you felt like you wanted to get up, you could get right up.
Yeah. I
heard you chihuahuas bark before, and now I have to let out my cat. So you'll hear a door open and close.
I do that all the time, so no worries. My cat, well, I don't know what happened today because she's asleep, but usually I have to get up in the middle of the interview and let her out.
Yes. They can sense when you're busy and you don't want to devote your attention to them, I think.
Oh yeah, I found my chihuahuas are highly connected to us. I mean, they definitely, I don't know, their telepathic abilities are absolutely amaze me sometimes.
Well, I'll tell you, this is one reason I knew Bob Monroe at Monroe Institute to be a good guy, because when I met him, he had shorts on, and the top of his legs were all covered with scars. And I said, Bob, what's that up? And he was writing his 3rd book, sitting there in shorts, and his kitty cat would get on his lap and knead it like, he was kneading wool. He'd let his cat do that and settle down on his lap while he wrote. So I said, anybody who can do that must be an okay guy.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So, I wanted to go into some of because, I'll give you an example in my own life. I really wanted a water distiller. So I'm looking through Amazon, and I was talking to a friend of mine about it, and I kind of forgotten about it because to get stuff from Amazon sometimes to America, Amazon America, it could be a pain in the butt. So I kind of forgot about it. And then my friend sends me an email and says, hey, do you still want a distiller? And I was like, yeah. And then she said, well, come pick it up. And it was just there. It was like a perfect working distiller. And what I've noticed many times, like Tom was saying before, is I kind of have to forget about it and then just, because many people do this unintentionally. It's when they put the intention that they short circuit themselves.
Well, Ramon, that's a great example, because you said, I really want a water distiller. Then you gave up, and evidently didn't give up in the negative way of, I never get what I want, but you just kind of ceased efforting for a little bit, and then the universe filled your order rather than Amazon.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's kind of touches on what I talked about a few minutes ago about short-circuiting it.
Yes.
Being able to let go of it and allow the magic to happen.
Well, Tom, I have an affirmation I use that came in useful in my life. I say patience sweetens passion, because I tended to be by nature a little impatient. So I just remember that, and just to have the patience and the trust.
Patience sweetens passion. I like that.
Yeah, that's nice. How are we doing with
I think we've got a few more minutes.
Yeah, because I stopped my clock, so I wasn't sure where we were at on time. The possibilities that you bring to reality, it's just, my mind is turning in how many different ways you can use this. And I'm not talking about, gaining more things, but just, as I was mentioning before, the possibility of growing a home or going to an area that's for example, there's famine there, and just, growing vegetables, and, it's just...
I've had people, they come to my group and say, what I really want is to go back into my community, which is pretty low vibe now, and just raise the energy of the whole community. I had another fellow whose family had these big farms out in Nebraska. He found he could raise the nitrogen content in the soil using psychokinesis, and just how important that would be if we didn't have to use fertilizer anymore.
Wow, yeah.
We could get some really things going. James Twyman was on the web teaching 100,000 people how to bend spoons, and then said, now that you know how to do that, let's direct our energy toward world peace. So there's a lot of potential to, use things besides their own personal.
Yeah.
Yeah, this really, with all of this that's starting to be validated in our world today, and we look back at these mysteries in history, and I'm thinking of, in particular, the pyramids on the Giza Plateau and how they were built. And we start taking a look at this stuff and the potential, and we're just barely starting to scratch the surface. And it really doesn't seem that hard to do now, the building the pyramids with conscious intent.
Yes, I think it's very interesting because almost all of the formal systems, government, education, are seeming to be stuck, and yet the internet and other ways of communication. I've had many people look at a spoon bending video on YouTube. I don't know if the video is fake or real, but then they go and they find they can do it. And so the group mind that's starting with the internet and things, I think will surpass the formal systems pretty quickly.
Yeah, and I've got a lot of optimism for our future, even with all the crap that we see out there in the media. I know the key is consciousness, and the key is each and every one of us, finding that place in self that is able to project that goodness, that wholeness that all of us has in our core.
Yeah, and that's what I hope the Inner Vegas Creating Miracles, Abundance, and Health, my book. I wanted to put out a message of heart and hope and reach a lot of people. And so far that's working. We sold out of our first printing within 2 weeks, and getting so much positive response. And a lot of people saying, hey, I could do this stuff as a kid, and reactivated my desire to help create my own world in a more positive way. And, I'm one of thousands of messages out there that are hitting every day, saying basically the same thing.
Right.
One thing I find very powerful when I meditate or I pray, I immediately end up beginning by intention link up to all others of goodwill across the planet, physical or non-physical. And when you do that, you feel a tremendous increase in the power of your prayer or your meditation because you're linking with a community of goodwill. And it's a vast, very powerful community.
That's an amazing, I can definitely see that being an amazing tool for us to use. And that's something that, I have done in the past, but thank you for bringing that up because I will begin once again using that in my meditation. It's so there's
in my mind. I was out in Vegas doing a workshop when Siegfried and Roy, when the tiger hurt the performer.
Right.
And we started just sending prayer and good wishes like we would usually do in that situation. And I had the thought, hey, let's also link up with everybody else who's doing the same thing. And you could feel a huge shift in the room and feel all these messages of appreciation from the millions of people who have seen that performance over the years and the love they poured to Siegfried and Roy. And I thought, hey, I got to do this more often. It really makes a difference.
Whenever two or more are gathered in His name.
Yeah. You don't have to be in physical presence. Just link up energetically.
How is he doing? I haven't heard from him since the accident.
Initially, I know he had some damage, and they, I think, became quite private. I did hear some reports that his recovery was going along. I haven't heard anything, and I would guess at least a year. But I assume they're staying at their beautiful retreat and continuing to live with the animals as they did before.
Yeah.
So we're at the top of the hour, Joe, and if you would, for our listeners, share where they can pick up this book at. And are you doing any talks or presentations, or you got any workshops coming up or anything?
Yeah, so you could get the book at innervegas.com, INNER, VEGAUS. I can't even spell Vegas.
VEGAS.
VEGAS, innervegas.com, or at Amazon, or Barnes & Noble, etc. And my main website, innervegas.com, will take you there, has workshops scheduled for my next Vegas workshop. It's full with wait lists in June, but there's one August 24th to 26th. So that's a possibility, and the home study is listed there too, which is Sync, like anything, Sync, S-Y-N-C, and then the word creation. So there's a double C in the middle, SYNCCREATION.com. And so anybody wanting to take a look a little further, there's lots of stuff on the website. It's a pretty detailed, beautiful website with lots of people's stories on it.
Are you doing any lectures or anything anywhere?
Been mainly right now on radio. I was on Coast to Coast a couple weeks ago, and I have about 5 radio shows this week.
Wow.
I teach at Monroe Institute about 10 weeks a year, including that MC Squared Manifestation Creation Squared program. And so at this point, that's how I get my word out.
Good job. Good job. Okay, well, I want to thank everybody for listening to this first hour, and I would urge you, if you're not a member yet, to hit that join button and help support Ramon and I in the 100th Monkey Radio. We love you guys, and we'll see you in the second hour. Condemnation without investigation is the heights of ignorance.
The love you deny is the pain you carry.
And we'll be back with more. Oh, okay, Joe, if you want to take a couple minutes, stretch your legs and whatever, we'll be back in just a couple minutes.
Sounds good. I'll leave the phone open and
I'm one with God, brothers, it's hard to stay straight until you're scared straight, and then you can't wait to get out. Then you shout, damn, I got freedom. Unless it's being taught, black man, I know you need one. It's the right time to make you free your mind. Wake up. If you missed it, then press rewind. It's the right time to make you free your mind. Wake up. If you missed it, then press rewind. It's the right time to make you free your mind. Wake up. If you missed it, then press rewind. It's the right time to make you free your mind. Wake up. The plan, then that's the native. You shouldn't tell an artist not to be creative. You see, the motive is to control more than business. Hitless enoughness in the soul, and I bring much more than your average MC. Please give me a break, man. Let me be me, so I can be free to do as I please. See what I see, be who I be. And yo, act like me. I got the rhyme and my timing from the center. Lyrics from the brain, even when I start to enter. The beats I'm bending, the vibes I'm sending, it's pleasure, never better. Even though shit is a mess, I never stress, in touch with insight, therefore I'm blessed with the armor. Tell your mama, but kill the drama. It's the right time to make you free your mind. Wake up. If you missed it, then press rewind. It's the right time to make you free your mind. Wake up. If you missed it, then press rewind. It's the right time to make you free your mind. Wake up. If you missed it, then press rewind. It's the right time to make you free your mind. Wake up. Yo, the master rhymer indiscreet. I walk the street for the knowledge, learning about things that you can't get in college, like science from the pavement, beats from the basement. My mouth full of lyrics, then the label makes the placement. Then my face went across the screen. This girl saw me getting raw to the beats with the gasoline. My self-esteem went through the roof. Stepped into the club, yo, I got juice, got loose on the MI. Now she's in my face, dragging me all around the place. Damn, it's a disgrace that I can't enjoy my craft, spew my math, cause I'm too busy running away from this girl with the dumb laugh. My path straight, so I lose the habit, and yo, I bounce like the rabbit. Yo, she's got the habit, cause she's chasing me. I'm out the door, kid, it's in the soul, and I'm free. It's the right time to make you free your mind. Wake up. If you